You're gonna love this.
I want to hear it. I'm objective. You're critical.
Anico at the disco.
He's positive. Join the Mixtape 615.
Today, tomorrow, yesterday,
It is the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville.
forever. Testing. 1, 2, 3. This is the Mixtape 615 podcast, and this right here is the place to be. If you are a Nashville Soccer Club fan, talking to you, the only one that exists. Or you're just trying to figure out what's going on with them boys in gold. I don't think I'm going to call them that anymore. I'm calling them Coyotes. They haven't earned the boys in gold moniker for me anymore. I'm taking that away, and I'm giving them Coyotes until further notice. Either way, if you're trying to find out about this team that plays soccer or football, if you're European, in Nashville, then I invite you to lock in with us real quick. It's your boy, Tunji, a.k.a. Young Turtle, the Soccer Face, SF Doom, the DR Kid, affectionately known as Steam Poppy, Yamame por favor, a.k.a. Mississippi Mai Tais on this beach in Belize, feeling cool like a summer breeze, a.k.a. you see me on the street, do not look me in the eye, brother. Do not. I'm a pokey trainer. You know I'm going to challenge you to a pokey battle. A.k.a. hot sauce. Ooh, that's hot. A.k.a. Chicago Mike, the Glizzy Gladiator. And once again, this is a Mixtape 615 podcast. Austin, my man, can you tell them who you are?
What's up, guys? I am Austin, a.k.a. Wild Man, because I'm always wild. A.k.a. Ginger Snap. Don't test this Ginger because he may snap. Oof. Because he's also a.k.a. the Fumbling Dublin, a.k.a. Chicky Parm, a.k.a. Red Beard, and I am still Coach Carson, fresh off a practice with our U8 girls team. Let's go, Logan. Tell them who you are.
All right, guys, y'all know who it is. It's Beer Main, a.k.a. Mr. C, a.k.a. Mr. Carson, a.k.a. Manga Main. And this is Mixtape 615 podcast, brought to you by the Mixtape 615 supporter group, the dopest supporter group in all of Nashville, and all of soccer, and all the world. And you guys know where you got to join. You got to join and run this pitch with us, because it seems like we're the only ones running the pitch right now. And that is going to mixtape615.com, mixtape615.com, and jump in and join in with us. Now, guys, there's a lot of soccer news from Greg Berhalter entering the MLS again to, I don't know if y'all saw, but Luis Suarez mailing a sky ball from right at the end of the box. There's a lot of soccer news out there this week, but we want to bring it all the way back to Nashville because we got a couple of match rewinds that we kind of got to tackle. Austin, take us away, man.
All right, guys. So since our last podcast, which we recorded, we have had 2 matches, and unfortunately, guys, we had 2 Nashville SC losses. The heartbreaking loss to DC United, and then the lackluster performance against NYC FC. Let's talk DC real quick. Nashville goes up 3-1, and then late in the game, we give up
it's like the 82nd minute. Yeah,
no, it was a 76th minute goal that gave them life. And then from there, they scored 2 stoppage time goals to beat us. Now, with what we saw in that match, we saw a lot of positives. And then I honestly, guys, and I'm going to ask your takes too. Honestly, in this match, I put this one on BJ Callahan. And I think that he's actually performed pretty well as a coach. His subs have been made at the right times. I think that Nashville was taking beating after beating, and no subs were made until way too late. Tunji, what were your thoughts on this DC match that you saw when we ended up losing 4-3 with those 2 late stoppage time goals?
I mean, there's a lot to go into it. It was a meltdown on multiple levels. I will agree with you wholeheartedly that the coaching, I don't know where BJ was at. Like he's the one thing I've seen from him that I was very impressed with throughout, since he's taken over the Coyotes. he's making subs at appropriate time. He's making good strategic subs. Again, I even commented how I wasn't used to that. But I don't know what happened in this match. Like, I would love to. I'm sure that after game conferences they do, he might have touched on that, but it just did not make sense, especially in the moment when you're there. We were all seeing it with our eyes. We were seeing Godoy struggling to get up and down. We were seeing guys getting beat on the wings consistently. And the thing that I saw, that I'm not sure how many other people saw this, but that's when I knew we were in trouble. After they scored their second goal, who ran into the net, picked up the ball, and ran it all the way back to midfield and put it down like they meant business? His name is Christian Benteke. If you go back and watch the footage, if you can see it, I was right there. I could see him willing his team to that win. Where Nashville had the Nashville SC guys, even us in the stands, we'd all just like, we're 3-1, like we're still in the, we
got comfortable.
Thought that we had that game in the bag, and the players thought it, and they left. They took their foot off the gas pedal. That's what I saw. That's exactly
what I saw. The entire second half, I saw foot off the gas. Now, we had the late goal. I think it was in like the 40-something or 60-something minute with 60-second minute with Alex Moyle. The beautiful pass by Hanan.
And he got the brace.
Waiting on it. And then, he got the brace with his second goal. I thought that those two were actually looking good. They were syncing up. But then when they started coming at us, Benteke gets that header that looked really good. And then you said it, Tunji, he comes running it all the way up the field. Logan, talk to me about the subs that we saw, not just like when we saw them, but we saw Teal Bunbury and Brian Anunga come in when we were getting beat as far as the speed. Now, the Bunbury, okay, he can run, but why Anunga, he can run, but why the Teal Bunbury being our first match when we are getting beat to the ball everywhere?
So the issue I have is not just the fact that we put in subs late, but it was the quality of the subs that we did put in. Much like you kind of allude to there, we didn't put speed in when we needed it. We didn't put attack in when we needed it. It almost looked like BJ Callahan decided he wanted to go back to Gary Ball, and it was just not what we needed.
What it looked like.
It looked like he wanted to go back to Gary Ball, and that's not what we need. We needed speed. We needed attack. We needed youth, and he decided to go for experience. Now, here's the thing. Do you want to take youth first experience every day of the week? No. Against a team that you are already up 3-1 on, put in the youth, put in the speed that we need, put in the attack, stay on the aggressive side when it's clearly showing that it's working, and then you take it away. And so it frustrated me seeing that we're putting in a guy who, yes, I believe in. I mean, turtle power all day. I'm here for it. But you see this come through, and he can't stay in front. He just can't get in front of that. He can't keep the ball in front of him. He can't keep it past the defender, and it just really hurt us in the long run.
Yeah. Now we talked about it against after the Cincinnati match. It was 2 games prior to this one.
Yep.
Jonathan Perez looking amazing. Taylor Washington looking amazing. Neither one of them get a minute in this game. That was a little disappointing because both of them would have added a little bit of speed, would have added a little bit more of that push, I think, that we needed in that
Julian
moment.
Gaines.
Now, Julian Gaines, we could have seen. Now, I do think that Shaq Moore brings that cool mind under pressure, so I understand leaving him in instead of putting Julian Gaines in, but the other two, I was a little disappointed. Now, let's fast forward to the Saturday match. We did see NYC come in, score 3 quick goals in the first half. First minute goal, 18th minute goal, 21st minute goal. And so Nashville at this point knew that they were eliminated from the playoffs. It's disappointing to see a team when they know that they're out just give up. Now, we saw the Jonathan Perez get in. We saw a Drew Yearwood and a Julian Gaines get in. But overall, they just looked defeated. So, Tunji, give me your take. Or Sorry, go ahead, Logan, if you have something.
No, I mean, it was mental mistake after mental mistake after mental mistake. And it was all on the defense. There's no excuse outside of that. Yeah, Joe didn't show up when he needed to in every single one of those, but he had so many shots being taken on him left and right, and he had nobody in front of him that was looking at it. You saw the cross, come across all the way through that goal on his backside, that second goal come in. It crossed 5 separate Nashville players without being touched that were within like literally stick a foot out, and they had it. Put a body in front, not turning it to the side, put a body in front of it, and it drops to your feet and you can clear it. Mental mistake after mental mistake from Nashville is the reason why we lost so heavily in that first half.
Yeah, now this was a tale of 2 different opponents. We gave up against DC. We gave up 28 shots, 10 on target. You can't yell at a Joe Willis for not stopping when we're giving up 28 shots. Now, in this match, we actually only gave up 11 shots. 4 were on target, and he did give up 3 of the 4 that were on target. Now, Tunji, thoughts on Joe Willis giving up 3 of 4 that were on target?
I've said it before. I've said it in many Twitter spaces. If you're not planning to replace Joe Willis soon or putting a successor to Joe Willis soon, you're not reading the tea leaves. Yes, I still think he's one of the better, right? Like I said, one of the best. He's one of the better goalkeepers in MLS.
Yeah.
But when you put him in a situation there, he's in Nashville, right, where his back line, takes breaks sometimes, it just doesn't show up, and the midfield can't get the ball, can't keep the ball out of our defensive third, he's going to look way worse. I don't know what he would look like on maybe say an LAFC. Like it does, maybe he's not that caliber of player, but in this situation, it looks bad. And then he's getting older. So right now, if we're looking at Nashville SC and kind of where we're going, our direction, I don't think Joe Willis is going to be the best tool for you in goal. He will be a great tool for leadership and vocalness, but I think he can do that maybe from I'm not gonna say from the bench, but the guy that's coaching him right now used to be our big goalkeeper, our one of the best goalkeepers we ever had when we were in USL. So all I'm saying is there's a place for him and his skill and his talent and what he brings to the team. I still think you go next 2025 with Joe Willis, but a big part of that transition needs to be finding maybe a younger goalkeeper who can keep up,
Yeah. Now I'm gonna hold your responses until our third segment coming up. But I did see somebody post in the Nashville SC fan page, I think is where I saw it. Joe Willis
that place is awful, by the way. I hate that place.
Yeah.
But Joe Willis is a great positional goalkeeper, may not be the greatest reactive goalkeeper. And so we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about this playoff that we've got coming up. We are officially eliminated from the playoffs. We're going to talk about the reasons why we think that we missed. And you want to stick around for that. Hey, Mixtape 615, are you ready for the 2024 season? We want you to join our supporters group. It is the dopest supporters group in all of Nashville. So sign up right now at mixtape615.com and rock your 2024 membership scarf so you can show off and say, we run this pitch. Imagine standing on the field, feeling the energy of the game close up, all of the energy of the stadium. That's a reality for our members. You can get on-field opportunities, plus get access to our tailgates where you'll bond with fellow fans over great food, soccer passion, and don't miss out on our epic away game watch parties. So sign up now, mixtape615.com, and join for the 2024 season.
All right, and we're back here, which is something that Nashville SC cannot say about the playoffs. Sad. It's I don't know, man. Like it's one of those weird things where like, yeah, of course I'm upset that we're not in the playoffs and we're not in playoff contention. But I'm one of these guys, and I've made it very clear for a long time now that making MLS playoffs to me, yeah, it's a great like baseline, and it's a great way to assess your season. If you're okay with average, right? Like making it more than half of the teams in MLS make the playoffs. I don't think it's the hardest playoff of all professional sports in the US to make. If anything, they've made it to where they've MLS has done what they can to make you get in the playoffs, which says a lot about Nashville SC crashing out in the fashion that they have with everything that they have with them going for them to still not make the playoffs shows you this team is deeply, deeply, deeply broken. I cannot say enough deeplies to match how badly broken I think this team is. And the excuses are everywhere, right? Like, I mean, I've seen people blaming Joe Willis. I've seen people saying, the midfield, which we all know the problem with the midfield. That's nothing new. I've seen people, we've talked about Hani and how he needs to be better. I think what we're going to try and do here is maybe we're going to try and find the biggest reason, but I'll tell you straight up, there's so many reasons, and maybe we can get to the source of where those reasons come from here. So, like, with that being said, Logan, I mean, do you think it's what do you think is the main reason? Let's just start light. What do you think is the main reason we miss playoffs this year?
Well, soccer is a game with one goal that matters. Rather, one end game in mind. You have to score more than the other people, and that's what has to happen regardless. So with whatever you want to say about Joe, it's our front that really suffered or made us suffer this year. We had one player, and it wasn't until the last couple of games where it actually happened. We had one player get double-digit goals.
Sheesh.
Barely getting to 11. We had one player barely getting 10 assists, and those are the only two that had double digits at all this year. Hani Mukhtar had half of the goals he had last year.
And that's half of the goals he had the year before, I'm pretty sure.
Alex Wheel, who scored 2 goals last year, which, I mean, proud of him. He scored 2 goals last year, doubled his goals this year. He was our third runner-up for goal leader. He was our third runner-up for goal leader, and he did it in 3 games total. Yeah. He scored 1 early on in the season, 1 in Atlanta, and then 2 in our last home game of the year.
Yeah. No, he scored 2 in New York. No,
yeah, last home game. It was the last home game. It was 2. It was 2 against DC. Right. It was 1 in Atlanta and 1 early on in the season. It was the first arms out. I can't even remember. It was kind of May, I think. But I'm telling you, it's like
that was our first. The first goal that our producer Doug Branson got to see was
that against Charlotte?
Moyle's goal.
It was early on in the season. I remember that much. But I'll tell you this, guys, like when it comes to, you can complain about our midfield not being the best. You can complain about our defense not showing up the way that they did this year. You can complain about Joe Willis all day long. The thing that I'm not hearing as many people complain about, because they're giving excuses because of what he's done in the past, is Hani Mukhtar. He had an abysmal season this year. Let's be honest. He had an abysmal season this year, and it's not up to the standard that he should hold for himself. It's not up to the standard that Nashville should hold him to. And I think that at this point, I'm kind of done with looking at anything and everything else. It has to be on our front.
You know what? Like you said a lot of things there that I agree with. And some that I'm like, I'm gonna examine that a little bit. I wholeheartedly agree with you on the fact that if you're not scoring more than your opponent, you're not gonna win. Like that's just how sports works. But in Nashville's case, they just are like allergic to offense. offensive strategy, offensive tactics. It's like I don't know what their blockage is, but I have never, and I'm watched a lot of soccer, at least when it comes to top flight level. Let me couch this a little bit. When it comes to top flight level, I don't think I've ever seen a team that's more adverse to doing the things that you need to do to score a goal like Nashville is. Like there's some weird block that they have. I know that they're professionals. I know that they're good. I know that they can score or they can produce good offense. They can pass through the middle. I know they can do it. But for some reason, with this collection of guys and the situations that they've been in the last 2-3 years, it just doesn't happen. So Austin, I mean, like, you know, we've heard from Logan. He thinks it's the front. He thinks that the offensive production and guys that we're paying millions of dollars to, like Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surge, just aren't doing what they need to do. And he thinks that's a big reason, if not the reason, we've missed the playoffs this year. Do you agree? And if you do agree, do you have anything to add to that? Or if you don't agree, what is it that you think is the reason?
I agree that our offense was lacking. I'll say that. I don't agree that was the issue. We talked early in the season. I don't know if y'all remember when I did the math of what we were projected to give up as far as goals. And I said, I think it was 62 or 64 is what we were on track to give up. We actually gave up 54 goals. Last year, we gave up 32 goals in 33 games. This year, we gave up 54 goals. That was 18th in the MLS. And then our expected goals against were 24th in the MLS. And so we did have 8 shutouts, but outside of those shutouts, when we weren't on, we weren't on. I mean, we had a 5-0 loss against LA. We had 4 goals scored against us against Portland. Guys, this is not the Nashville SC defense that we are used to. Also, let's talk about how weak the Eastern Conference is. There was 2, 3, 4 points from like 12th place to or like 14th place to the play-in at 9th place. It wasn't like it was that far of a gap that Nashville couldn't overcome. They couldn't overcome a 1 to 2 point gap because they were giving up so many goals. How many times did you see Nashville SC giving up a lead late in the game like they did to DC? I mean, that didn't happen. That was no. I mean, in years prior, that was unheard of. This year, they gave up so many second half leads. They actually gave up 8 second half leads this season. That's 19 points that they gave up. 19 points lands us middle of the pack in the playoffs. That's not playing. We're talking like
firmly in the playoffs.
Fourth, fifth seed.
That's standings. Yeah, that's a very likely.
So yes,
if you do that, and that also changes the mentality. So those 19 points, you bring those back, what that probably nets you at least 6 to 7 more points there, just from the confidence that your players have.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a home play advantage.
Yes, but if you look at, yes, the offense wasn't scoring like we were hoping for them to. Yes, Hani and Sam weren't scoring like we were hoping for them to. But when they were scoring, the defense couldn't hold on to it. Yeah. How many 1-goal leads did we win with last year or the year prior? We ended the season. All of this started. Let's date way back to Leagues Cup last year. We talked about it. The last 12 games of the season last year, including the playoffs, we won 1 game out of the last 12 going into this season. So, guys,
I think it was 2. I think we won 2 after.
No, we won 1 game. It was the Kansas City one. I'm pretty sure that's the only one.
I remember that one.
I think we won 2.
Only one that we won. But the last 12 games of the season was just abysmal. We looked awful, and it carried into this season. And guys, it is straight up the defense. Yeah, we want the offense to score goals, but when they are scoring, it's not like we're holding on to the lead. The offense scored 3 goals against DC.
Yeah, I mean, that should have been enough.
Yeah,
there's no, in no universe is 3 goals not enough to beat DC freaking United. You know what I'm saying? And I respect their hustle. They earned that W that night. They did. But
Yeah.
like
Oh,
it was
absolutely.
because we gave it. Like they earned it and we gave it to them. So it was like it was a double win for them. But
And
like
Tunji, you were there at Dicey's when we were all sitting around with our friend Doug from Rose Room Collective. Shout out to our boy Doug from Rose Room Collective up in DC as one of the supporters of DC United. He called that too.
he
He
did,
straight up
which is
called
crazy.
4-3, which
He
was
said it.
insane.
We all laughed. We were
like,
You're
yeah,
crazy, Doug.
first you think
No, he was
Nashville's going to
right.
score 3 points. Yeah.
He was
and
100% right, dude.
which is
Look,
insane.
no, I know. If I was a betting man, I wish I could go back and
I know,
take
right?
him up on that. But look, man, this is the offense, defense. Sure, I think you're both right, actually. But the biggest thing, the elephant in the room, we fired Gary Smith halfway through the season. How much does that impact the team whose whole identity has been his conservative play style, his cautious, low block counter, non-possession having, style? Like, how much of that are we going to attribute? Like, I'm not trying to say that if Gary was here, we for sure would have made playoffs. I think there's a high probability, but again, that is not my goal. If having Gary Smith means that we're destined for playoff appearances and we get swept out in the first round, I take it back. I don't want it. I don't want that for the Coyotes. I don't want it, bro. I need to have this team be who they told me they were going to be. When they fired Gary and Mike Jacobs said the goal is still playoffs, I believe we have the talent on this roster to make a deep run. I immediately called that. I called bull crap on that, dude. Because I've watched his moves. I've watched what he's been doing. I don't see the talent that he's talking about. And if he was trying to scapegoat Gary and say, well, Gary isn't using the people I've got. Well, my guy, you let Dax McCarty walk and brought on Drew Yearwood as his replacement. And you're telling me that that's the guy, obviously he wasn't his replacement. He still did a great job, but at a certain point, I gotta say that, like, if you switch out coaches like that and then take 2 or 3 months to find your new coach, you've thrown in the white flag on the season.
Now, I'm not blaming Gary Smith. Mike Jacobs, I think, carries a lot of weight of the blame as well. However, in the first 11 games, I think is how much Gary Smith coached for MLS games, not including Leagues Cup and Champions Cup. But the 11 games, the team allowed 19 goals. That's unheard of in a Gary Smith team. Even with it being Gary Smith, 19 goals in 11 games was too much.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not saying that let me be clear. Don't keep Gary Smith just to make it to the playoffs. I think here's my thing. If you let go of Gary at the time that you let go of him at, which was right before, a little bit before Leagues Cup, and you're saying that we need to go a new direction, I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. And if you're going to fire Gary Smith, then call a spade, bro. You're done for this season. You're don't tell me that you're gonna bring a guy on, and it took you however long it took them to get Brian Jimmy Jam Callahan. It's however long it took them to get him. Don't tell me that you're still trying to make playoffs. Just if they would have just said, "Hey, look, it's not working. It's been a season and a half of poor results. Gary is obviously, we all saw it, has lost the locker room, lost the confidence of the team. It's his strategies don't work for us anymore. We need a new direction, and it might take us a while." That's where I'm at. I'm in this of the impression that it's probably going to take us a minute before we can get back to unless they make major changes. I'm talking about earth-shattering changes.
So it's
Matthew Doyle with MLS Soccer wrote an article released today, and he said something that was pretty telling with Nashville SC was there was no plan B. When Hani started to decline, when the center back started to decline, the defensive play, the counter strike attack that Nashville had under Gary Smith, there was no plan B. Sorry, Logan, go ahead.
No,
Well,
I think
hold on, Logan. I just want to call. I said that last year in the podcast
Yep.
last year. I said
Yep.
they don't have a plan. Their plan is to make it to playoffs, and that's it.
Yep.
Under Gary Smith, that was their plan. That was it.
And the problem with that is that, yeah, that's Gary Smith's plan, but that's also on Mike Jacobs. And so everyone wants to sit here and ask, like, well, why did Gary let this happen, or why did Mike let this happen? Here's the question that I have. It's not a why Mike Jacobs. It's why is there still Mike Jacobs? I think at this point, I think his time with us is done as well, because this is his personnel that finished out this season. It's not BJ Callahan's personnel. It's no longer Gary's personnel. This is all Mike Jacobs that he decided that he wanted to keep around, on top of, or I guess in spite of, getting rid of the coach. What are the pieces that he said, hey, these are the guys we believe in? And at that point, it's not a why Mike Jacobs, it's why Mike Jacobs. You know, why do we still have him here? I think it's time for him to move on as well.
Oh, I've been very vocal about my disapproval of Mike Jacobs' handling of team personnel, of how the team in general is just managed, and what he's allowed and what he hasn't. I've been very vocal about that. So with that being said, with Nashville SC's playoff hopes expiring, essentially, it's time to talk about what else is expiring. What other contracts or even players might have reached their expiration date with Nashville SC. Not in the league, just with this team right now, as we start to make the transition to hopefully soccer Valhalla, which has been promised to me. You guys know I be too lit on Wednesdays at Southside Kitchen Pub, but it does not have to be a Wednesday for you to get too lit with me at any of our away watch parties. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Mixtape615 for all watch party information, so you can get in the mix with us, me, Logan, and Ginger Snap. Let's go.
Now, I want you guys to all listen to this list real fast. Ready? Joe Willis, Elliot Panico, Walker Zimmerman, Jack Mayer, Dan Lovitz, Taylor Washington, Anawal Godoy, Brian Anunga, Randall Leal, Alex Wheel, and the great Hani Mukhtar. All of these players have been with Nashville SC since its beginnings. Alex Wheel being one of the only exceptions on there, as he played 2 games with the Red Bulls in 2020 before coming over to Nashville. However, these are the guys that have been with Nashville from the beginning of our franchise here in the MLS. And the article that Austin referred to earlier is there might be some expiration when it comes to our players. There might be some guys who are kind of ready to move on. So I want you guys to kind of go through this list. I want you to give me some guys. I'm going to give you guys 3 options. Y'all ready for this? All right. Expired. And we're going to do it kind of like our play, skip, repeat. You know, we like play, skip, repeat. What we want to see, what we want to see again, and what we never want to see ever again. This is going to be kind of down this list as well. Is this player expired? As in, it's time for them to move on. Not expired in total, but expired with Nashville. Is it ready for them to go? Are they stale? Have they stalled out? Are they hitting a ceiling that we know we can see them move better? We can still invigorate them. We can still use them, just like stale milk. I can still use it to make some bread pudding. I can still use it to kind of help me along. However, there's also the piece that they're still good. Like, we can still use this. They've not expired yet. We still got this. So are they stalling out? So are they stale? Have they ready to go? Or are they still good? So I want you guys to pick at least one player on this list for each of these. Where do you see somebody who is expired? Like, let's just kill it now. Who's the moldy milk in the fridge that, you know, it's been sitting there for 6 months as a bachelor? Tunji, I know you've seen it, where you kind of forget about that one, you know, half-gallon milk jug sitting there, and then all of a sudden you do the sniff test and oof, it's got to go. Who's your guy, Tunji?
There's so many options to choose from. It's gonna have to be the lucky contestant on my Summer Jam screen. Is gonna be. God, I hate to do it, bro. I really like this guy actually.
Say it.
Elliot Panico.
Oof.
Elliot Panico, right off the bat. I'm coming in swinging heavy. I know a lot of people wanted me to say Brian Anunga. I'm not even gonna go there right
He
now.
didn't pass the smell test.
I gotta start with Elliot Panico. Nope.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're talking about needing
Because
to
his
bring
job
in
this
somebody.
year.
Yeah.
His job this year was to back up Joe Willis and to prove to us that he could take the reins. Going back to the last segment or whatever it was we were talking about Joe earlier, I believe that Joe is still. Matter of fact, let me jump ahead. I think he's stale. He's still got some utility in him, right? But like,
all right,
we needed Elliot Panico to show us that he could step up and give Joe a spell. If he would have been able to do that, then I think Joe would have had a better year because he wouldn't have had to play every single minute of every single game.
Yeah.
But he showed me that he did not have that in him this year for whatever reason. You know?
So Logan and I were talking about this duo, this goalie duo, because we are big Pittsburgh Penguins fans, hockey.
Yeah.
If you date back to when the Penguins won the Stanley Cup,
2017. Gotta love that Nashville, don't y'all?
Oh gosh. But
that's crazy.
The goaltender competition that was with Marc-Andre Fleury and Matt Murray. Matt Murray was the new kid on the block. Everybody thought that he was the guy because he was pushing Fleury out because he was looking so good. But it was the healthy competition between the two, because as soon as the Penguins doubled down on Matt Murray and Marc-Andre Fleury left, Matt Murray tanked. And so it has to be healthy competition. Last year, the reason I think our goaltenders look so good was because Panico was actually playing really well. And there was that they were pushing each other. There was one not better than the other, and they were making each other better. This year, and Elliot Panico really just dropped off. Therefore, Joe Willis didn't have the competition that was pushing him to get better.
Absolutely. And that really does. And I want to save Tunji. I want to save you from giving your still good just yet, because I think let's get the negative out the way. Let's go ahead and call it. And then I want all of us to really hype up those guys, give our little 30-second like hype video for our players that are ready to go, that we still think are there, that are ready to go. But Austin, I need to know, man, who doesn't pass your smell test?
This is actually a really tough one to me, because I mean, the obvious choice is the Rando Leal, but we didn't see enough of him. Like, he might still be good because he was just injured so much. So the smell test of I don't know if he still got it with Nashville as Anibal Godoy. And that's hard for me because I really, really like Anibal Godoy.
He's such a great guy.
But we saw the lack in the midfield, and then the lack with our defensive mids too, with him and Sean Davis, who's not on this list, but both of them just looked rough this year. And I think that Anibal Godoy might have it might be past his due date or his expiration date with Nashville.
All right.
Even with his bicycle kick goal, you're still going to put him on the expiration list?
He's got one of the best goals of the season. That might be rivaled by Hani's set piece goal against DC.
The set piece goal against DC, that was phenomenal. But I'll be honest, it's not just best goals in Nashville. That's one of the best goals in the MLS for 2024, period.
Yeah, it's up there.
Anibal Godoy's
maybe top 20. I give him top 20.
It's definitely up there.
I'll tell you what, that Showstopper shirt they made for him, that's the best one with the whole kit. I think that's the best one.
So Austin, keep on with it, man. Well, who's your stale? Who's maybe still got some left in the tank, but has kind of stalled this year? Where do you feel like you still could see some use for him?
I'd say Dan Lovitz. I don't think that he had his best season with Nashville. You saw some bright where, like, I think with BJ, he kind of started to come alive a little bit more. I was calling Taylor Washington's number all year. But I did see some bright spots from Dan Lovitz when BJ Callahan came around. And so maybe he's not all gone. Maybe it was just a system. So I'm calling that he's my stale. Like, yeah, He might still be good, might still have some use out of him. He just kind of stalled out this season.
All right. I'm going to give mine, guys, because I don't think either of y'all are going to like it. Someone who didn't pass my smell test this year. And there's going to be a lot of people who are upset with this one. And it's a hot take. I know that. I'm fully prepared to take it on. I think that his time is done with Nashville. Now, I'm not saying his time is done in the MLS, but his time is definitely going to be done with Nashville. It's Walker Zimmerman.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
That wasn't even surprising. That wasn't even surprising to me.
He doesn't pass the smell test this year.
He visited you in the hospital, and this is how you treat him.
This is how you treat this.
Here's the thing. He's been my boy. He's been my boy for a long time, since Dallas. I love this man. I really do. He's phenomenal family man. He's got amazing character. His heart for people is awesome. His competitive, like his mentality is there. But for this year, I think we've seen all that we can out of him. I think that when it comes to our salary with what we're spending, I don't think that this year he made the money worth it like he has in past years.
And he's a DP, or he's still a DP guy, right?
I know he's a DP. Yeah. And again,
that's the only knock I would have is him being. I don't think it's over for him.
No,
I wish he wasn't a DP.
So
I think he is still one of the best center backs in the league. I think him having a few injuries slowed him down, and also we were playing him alongside Jack Mayer or Brent Coleman most of the year. Now, no knock to those, or not Jack Mayer, Josh Bauer. So those two, Josh Bauer and Brent Coleman, are not starting center backs. They're just not.
I don't disagree.
That is who he has been playing alongside. And then you saw early in the season, there were a lot of injuries in our back line, just in general,
including him.
We were playing three in the back or three center backs multiple times because we just didn't have Lucas McNaughton getting hurt in April and never coming back.
I know.
I think really hurt us. Jack Mayer not being as good as he was last year until the past few games really hurt us.
Again, I'm not saying that his time is over with in the MLS. I think that when it comes to this team with what we need, his time is done. He doesn't pass the test. Now, a guy who I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on because this is my take. These are my takes.
That's a crazy.
Who do you replace him with if we lose Walker Zimmerman?
What do you think they need?
Look who we have left from him.
I know. Hey, we still have guys. Guys that are there.
Don't have anybody. That's the whole reason.
Lucas McNaughton is still here.
Nobody to actually help him.
Lucas McNaughton is still here. He had a season-ending injury, yes, but it was a season-ending injury, not a career-ending injury. We still have guys that can be there for us. And if we stay
Lucas McNaughton, you don't trade Walker Zim for Lucas McNaughton.
If we stay aggressive, I think that these are things that we could continue to work on and build on, because if we're not playing the entire game in the back, we don't need to pay somebody like Walker Zimmerman to be back there. That's the issue that we've had. We have been playing in the back so long that we've gotten used to making sure that our DP slot is in that center back position. That's not where we need to spend our money. Now, a guy who, again, moving on, my stale, a guy who still has something to show that can still do it, but really stalled out this year, Hani Mukhtar. A huge fall off from where he's been in the past. But this is a man who we know can do better than he has. And he really did start to show that life again towards the end of the season so far. He has shown that life over the last 3-4 weeks now, that we've actually started getting some games under his belt, some wins underneath his belt. We've gotten there again. You're seeing his life restructured when it comes to how he's playing. Like, you're seeing that resurgence come back to him. We know this man still has something left in the tank. We know he can still do it. And I think, honestly, we still need to keep our front for now with him as our lead, as our star.
Nashville was last in the league at getting the ball into the box.
Yep.
Last in the league. And so for Hani to be able to get out on the run, you've got to have somebody to be able to pass it to him, make a play to him. He can't do it all himself. He tried. He can't do it all.
I know, we all know that. And that's why I'm glad that we have guys like Patrick Yazbek who can really play it through the middle. A guy who is injured right now, but will be back, Tyler Boyd, who can play it through the middle. I think those two in the middle are really going to help us next year.
We haven't seen them together either.
Exactly.
That could be dangerous.
Think about that combination, that chemical,
Kiwi and the Aussie.
that chemical reaction between the two of them is just going to be explosive. I think that's going to be really great to have. But those are my two when it comes to my stale and my
did you say you're stale?
Yeah, I'm gonna change mine. Actually.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my stale from Joe. Joe Willis is only stale because Elliot Panico is expired. But if I was to choose another stale, it'd be Randall Leal.
Man,
and it's for
really?
Obvious reasons. He's left him. He's put himself. Well, not put himself. He hasn't put himself, but he's been on the shelf for too long. We have not been able to really get full like utility or use out of him
with as much money as we're giving him. Yeah,
with as much money as he gets for sure. But like, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think. I'm sorry. I don't know what this is. I don't know why Randall Leal does this to me. Every year, I'm like, get rid of him. And then somehow throughout the year, he does one thing, like one almost shot in the goal, you know what I mean? One almost rocket golazo. And I'm like, he can stay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like something about what like the potential that he brings makes me want to like, I'm there right now. I'm not of the opinion that we get rid of Randall Leal right now. I think we give him one more chance.
Buy him out. Send him on his way.
It's an abusive relationship with him. I don't know what it is.
He's Austin stale. He's not the stank, but he's definitely the stale. He's not expired yet. Now, I want you guys.
Is an easy one.
Now, there's one person on this list for each of us, I'm sure, that we know that's our guy. That's like, we know that they're still good. I want you to hype them up. Give them a 30-second little hype quick going. Tunji, start us off, man. Who's your hype? Who's your guy? Who you picking? Give me the reason.
I was going to choose the Chaos God, but I've changed my mind.
Oof.
I think he still deserves a 30-second hype, and I will do that in a separate time. But right now, I need to give it up for a young gentleman, a young man who's been with the team for forever and has taken me from a non-believer to, you know what, keep him on the bench. That's Taylor Washington.
Yes, he's like, one of our own, baby. He's one of our own.
He's one of our own. Like
he's one of our own. Taylor Washington. He's one of our own. Yeah.
Like I remember when we first started doing this podcast, I had the most critical take of this man.
You really did.
And, oh yeah, it was very critical. And you know what I mean? Like I stand by it at the time because since then he's proven me wrong. That's why I was going to tell you earlier, Logan, it's a little dangerous to say that you think that a player has given you all that you're going to see from them, because sometimes they might reach into their pocket and show you some stuff that you haven't seen yet. So Taylor Washington is one of these guys. Like I sincerely doubted 2 years ago that he had the ability to play elite football at an MLS level.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of the last 2 years, he has completely changed my perspective. And I'm like, you know what? I'm happy that he's been with us for so long. He provides that sense of stability that I feel like I need when it comes to this team. Also, we know he's a good guy, but also now finally on the pitch, I've seen him in the last couple times he's been on the pitch. I'm like, dude, this guy, where has this guy been?
He's on fire. Yep.
Yeah, he's playing with like he's almost like a new man. Like he's been rejuvenated.
An assist to one of Sam Surge's goals against Cincy.
Yeah. He's had a sneakily good year for the minutes that he's gotten. He's had a sneakily decent year.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when Dan Levitz was injured at the beginning of the season, I didn't understand why we gave him back his starting job, because Taylor Washington was looking real good.
I agree.
Taylor Washington had that really embarrassing moment in Miami, and
Yeah,
that's
that
when I was like,
one.
"Hey,
One
bro,
game.
anything Miami, I start to get emotional and make bad decisions."
Yeah, you're not the only one apparently. Austin, let's hear it, man. Who's your hype? Who's your guy? Who's still good?
My still good. Tunji kind of stole it. I was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say Taylor Washington. I think he is definitely still good. I think he is somebody who has shown why he is the only player left from the USL team. He's
Yeah,
shown
one
time
of,
and
yeah.
time again that he is literally showing that when the odds are against him, he rises to the occasion. He works harder than anybody else out there. He shows that he wants to be there more than anybody else out there. And then when we lose, bro, he's got his head held high and he is still going. And he's like, let's get back to work. That's the attitude that I want from the bench. And so that's I agree with Tunji. That's my still good.
All right.
Nice.
I don't mind 2 for Taylor, man. He's a great guy. My guy, who's still good for me, somebody who I've been critical of. I've been on his back. I've been behind him and cheering for him. He's won me over. He's lost me. This man is chaos incarnate.
Yeah,
Alex Muil has won my heart back. He has won my heart back, man. It's Muil time. It's really ready to go. I'm telling you, this guy still has it ready to go. He's showing us the best is not behind him. He's still got more. He's still surprising us, and he has done it all year by working his butt off. And yes, he's been in the right places to do nothing with a lot of things, but he's also been in all the right places. And that's what's showing me who he really is he's there in the right places. And if we
under BJ Callahan, he's actually looking better.
Exactly. He's got 3 goals underneath BJ, guys. He's got 3 goals underneath our brand new coach. And he
had 2 last
showing
year, the entire year.
He's showing up in a big way. So I'm telling you, I'm behind that man. I'm sticking with him. And as much as I've given him, as much just hardship I've given him on this podcast to his face by accident in some ways, but like as hard as I've been on this guy, he is 100% won my vote back. He is my still good. He's ready to go. He's the guy I want to be behind still. So leaving it on a high note, leaving it on a good note. Austin, why don't you take us on out? Because we've got one more game coming up. It's decision day for a lot of people, but we're ready to get there, man.
Day, as Tunji said in our Slack, it's a decision for us on whether we're actually watching the game or not, or we're going to see what the rest of the league is doing. But guys, we're going to wrap another episode of the Mixtape 615 podcast. Let us know what your expiration dates. Go back, listen to all of the names listed that we have. Let us know who you think is expired, stale, or still good. But guys, thank you all for listening and sticking with us. Thank you for sticking with Nashville. We're still sticking with them. It's rough at times, but this is what it is. This is what it is.
This is what being a sports fan is, especially in Nashville. Especially in Nashville.
Doug Branson, our producer, has stuck with us even while he covers the Charlotte Hornets on his own podcast. Shout out to his podcast. But guys, he is sticking with us, keeping us going. So definitely give him a shout and some love in the comments. Don't forget to stay connected with us through this offseason. We got one more game and then the offseason, guys. Stay connected. Hit us up at Mixtape 615. Stay connected with our socials. We're going to still be doing stuff through the offseason. Instagram, Facebook, X, all of that. Hit us up at Mixtape 615. And for all of our video content, we're going to be releasing through the offseason on YouTube at Mixtape 615 Pod. So guys, keep it real. Keep it vibing. Until next episode, Mixtape 615 is signing off.